calling the Civil Service Commission meeting to order for June 17th, 2025. All commissioners are present. I will now hand it over to Chair Stevens.
Thank you. Good morning and welcome, everyone. Let's go ahead and begin our meeting with agenda item number 1, which we did the call to order. Number 2, approval of minutes. Has everyone had an opportunity to read the minutes from last month's meeting?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we'll move on to item number 3, the Chief Examiner update.
I'll be very brief this morning. I don't have much new to report. Just wanted to give a quick shout out to Civil Service team. We had a very busy year and a very busy spring and summer so far. And just wanted to thank you all for your great and hard work. Thanks for continuing to show up.
It's nice to see all your faces this morning. We missed you last month. All right, we'll move on to item number 4, new business. Subsection A, the continuation of administrative complaint that was brought before us by Kelly Long.
Before we get started, Commissioner Stratton will be stepping down as she has recused herself from this. This is a continuation from an administrative complaint filed by Ms. Kelly Long, an executive assistant with the Building Maintenance Department. We can continue as we see fit. I did forget, just as an aside, I forgot to swear anyone in at our April meeting. So as people do come up and speak, I am going to give you the hearing oath. Good morning, Kelly.
Good morning.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give in this matter now being heard will be the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Stevens and committee. I'd like to kind of go over what has brought us here. So let me reiterate how I believe the process was not followed correctly. When the administrative specialist position description was changed unilaterally in March of 2024 without input from individuals in those positions, the executive assistant position description added key duties that the administrative specialist did not have. I was never given the opportunity to review those changes prior to notice from Civil Service stating that the job classification had changed from administrative specialist to executive assistant in March of 2024. Why? Every administrative specialist and their supervisor should have been provided the new executive assistant job description prior to the commission approving the change to ensure everyone would fit under the new executive assistant job description. You don't change the job description and then determine who fits under the new description. I was asked to participate in updating the job classification duties of the administrative specialist in July of 2024. I quote, "I am working on civil service job classification updates for the administrative specialist job class. This is not a study of you or anyone's specific job, but the job description includes purpose, tasks, and job requirements. Would you be willing to help me with this update?" That was from Jerry Bjork, Examination Classification Analyst 3. The job classification duties were not returned to me or my supervisor prior to the email updating the job title and duties sent in March of 2024 after the Civil Service Commission approved the updates. No checks and balances from people doing the work. Had a review by my supervisor and myself changes in the duties at that time prior to the commission's approval, we would have had the ability to ask the question such as, I am not doing any of these duties, so how do these changes affect my job description? This would have been eliminated any unicorns from popping up, as Ms. Pearson calls me. I was asked to participate in the test development for the executive assistant as an SME in May of 2024. I believe the job survey was a follow-up to the job classification duties and the testing development. The letter requesting the job survey was incomplete as it did not state that the Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Matt Boston, was requesting the survey, and most importantly, why. Without the important clarification of who the job survey was being conducted for, both my union representative and I believe it to be a routine as a follow-up to the title change. There needs to be clarity in the commission notifying individuals about the initiation of the survey. The short letter I received from Ms. Pearson didn't provide any of the vital information. As the chief examiner, Ms. Pearson should have ensured the notice of the job survey included information on who was requesting the job survey and why. Transparency is one of the commission's core values. I wasn't informed Mr. Boston was the individual who requested the job survey until January of 2025. Since the merit rules say nothing about the division head requesting a job survey to determine proper classification, why was the fact that Mr. Boston requested the job survey not revealed until earlier this year? Mr. Boston stated in a meeting recently, in a review of this reclassification, he doesn't even remember why he requested the job survey. I believe I deserve a right to know why Mr. Boston was questioning my job duties and skills when he's never asked me what I do. To my knowledge, this classification hasn't been reported to City Council for budget approval, as this would be a change in status. I would be going from an MNPB pay plan and benefits package to a clerical 270. According to the merit rules, if qualifications are adjusted upward, and incumbents will be deemed to possess the qualifications for purpose of retaining their position, why isn't the same latitude given for job duties? This is exactly why I'm in this position. Ms. Olson, Merit System Analyst 3, set up a meeting on Thursday, September 12th. She questioned my forwarding my meeting to Mr. Teal. I quote, "Hi, Kelly, that sounds great. I see that you forwarded my invite to Jeff as well. I normally meet with you individually, and then after I meet with you, I will reach out to Jeff if I have any questions for him. See you next week, Lisa." Ms. Olson never directly communicated or requested clarification of my job duties with Mr. Teal. I also want the commission to understand that when I met with Ms. Olson, she stated two things that stuck with me and caused me to question the process. Ms. Olson stated that she didn't know who requested the job survey or why, and that the result of the job survey could result in demotion. I contacted Mr. Clapp, MNP president, in September of 2024 for clarification on that statement. Mr. Clapp wasn't aware of any positions were being reviewed for demotion and thought the job survey was routine. All communications on my duties were done between Ms. Pearson and Mr. Boston, neither of which have ever asked me about my job duties. Ms. Olson never asked Mr. Teal any questions about my job duties. Ms. Olson didn't meet with Mr. Boston to discuss the initial determination and level of work I was bound to be performing. Ms. Pearson did. Ms. Olson informed Ms. Pearson in writing that I am not to make any financial decisions as an office clerk specialist. During a meeting with Ms. Pearson and Mr. Boston in April, they both verbally said I could make routine financial decisions. It is unclear what my job duties are. The reclassification would be a demotion to me. This doesn't meet the definition of a demotion from the Merit system rules adopted March 19th, 2024. Again, I'm going from an MNP benefits and pay scale to a local 270C benefits and pay scale. I will lose about $600 in pay a month, not to mention life insurance benefits being reduced, insurance premiums being increased with a change in insurance coverage also. This isn't a reclassification as it doesn't meet the following, as my duties have not changed. The duties I was hired to do as an administrative specialist haven't changed. There is no mention of a division head submitting a reclassification request. It states the department head must submit the reclassification if the duties and responsibilities for a classification have permanently and substantially changed. Why would Mr. Boston, Division Director and CFO, think my duties and responsibilities had changed if he had never asked me what I do? After all, I was asked to participate in the job duties development, test development for the executive assistant. I request that the administrative specialist position description be reinstated. I request that my position description be returned to administrative specialist. I was hired to be an administrative specialist for the facilities department. Civil Service approved the administrative specialist position for the facilities department. I applied for, tested, and was hired as the administrative specialist position with the facilities department. Civil Service didn't update the administrative specialist job duties and title. Civil Service made major changes to the job description and duties under the executive assistant position. If the admin specialist position description can't be reinstated, I would request that the program professional position for facilities be created to align with duties of my position as an admin specialist. I would also like the commission to ensure that when a position description is revised in the future, that the individuals in the positions and their supervisors review the change before they're approved by the commission. I would suggest that the staff and supervisors appear in front of the commission to ask and answer questions they may have on the proposed changes. I would like to ensure no one is ever in this situation again. It's not fun being a unicorn. Some of the information provided today was from public records requests submitted on this process in January of 2025. I still don't have all the records from the request. I'm scheduled to receive more information this week. It's a lengthy process. I do not believe the job survey was completed correctly based on the lack of communication and transparency from the start. I should have been informed of the changes of the job description prior to approval by commission in March of 2024, and given the opportunity for feedback and questions at that time to prevent the situation I am now in. I should have been informed of who requested the job survey so there was clear information on why this survey was being conducted. How can one understand the process when you aren't informed of the why? Why did Mr. Boston request the survey? And why was the request for the survey, who requested the survey, not provided from the start? As this entire process is new to me, can you explain to me what happens now?
Thank you, Kelly. I'll open it up to commissioners to ask any follow-up questions they may have.
Good morning. Thank you for your presentation. It was very well stated and very well put. And I do appreciate you coming back and we appreciate you coming back and going through your position on this. For a point of clarity, can you identify specifically what sections were violated, in your opinion, that should nullify this change? So what sections in the merit system book were not followed? I know you loosely said you weren't told who asked for the survey. Do you believe that's part of the system, that the
Yes.
employee be notified specifically who asked for the survey and why? Can you point out that section?
It states in the merit system. I don't have that in front of me, but I do know that it says that, well, let me see. According to the job survey, section 5, prior to the initiation of the survey, the commission must notify the appointing officer, department head, human resource director, incumbent employee in the appropriate bargaining unit
Of the survey?
of the survey.
Okay. And
The-
were you aware prior to taking the survey that you were going to be taking the survey?
I was given a very brief notice that's on July 8th that said, "Dear Kelly, Civil Service is requesting a survey of your position to be completed. Accordingly, please complete pages 1 through 10 of the attached position description questionnaire. Once completed, forward to your supervisor. The deadline to submit your completed questionnaire is August 5th, 2024. Upon receipt of the information in our office, we will move forward with the process. Should you have any questions, please feel free to call 509-625-6160 or stop by Civil Services. Thank you, Kelsey Pearson, Chief Examiner."
And that was a letter or an email?
That was a letter via email.
Okay. So would it
And
be,
so, and on that, Jeff Teal, John Clapp, and Human Resource Analyst Ted Kummet were CC'd.
okay, so would it be fair to say you knew then, you were put on notice that you were going to be taking a survey?
Yes,
Okay.
but I don't believe that it was 100, it was not transparent. I thought this was part of the process of the new, the testing development, just a continuation. I come from 25 years with higher ed, and prior to that, a government, and we always did desk audits when we were having our positions changed, promoted, or validated.
Well, independent of that,
So-
and going back to specifically this situation, which is what we're here to talk about
Right.
today, you concede you had notice of the survey, so we did in fact comply with the merit system rules on that point. Would you agree with that?
Yes,
You assumed it was for a different purpose than perhaps it ultimately was. I think that's where you quarrel, is you felt like you should have had more information about why the survey was being administered to you, correct?
yes,
But nowhere in the rules does it say that we have to make sure the employee has an absolute understanding of why the survey is being administered. Would that be fair to say, too?
correct.
Okay. And then ultimately, you did take the survey. Let me ask you, did you reach out and ask any questions in response to that email, or did you just continue on and do the survey?
I did not ask any questions.
Okay. And at some point, the survey got completed and was then transferred to your supervisor, I believe, correct?
Correct.
And that would be Mr. Teal? And did Mr. Teal talk to you about the survey?
No,
Do you know if Mr. Teal approved the survey?
he signed off on it.
Okay. And from your understanding of the merit system, because that's what we're talking about today, that's part of the process that's required, right?
Correct.
So your supervisor signed off on it, and that's in compliance with our rules, right? So where was the breakdown in the process? Other than your opinion that it wasn't transparent enough, where was the deficiency in terms of the merit system rules?
other than the clarity, they were followed.
Okay, thank you.
Just like to ask a follow-up question based on the line that Commissioner Palmerton was just on. And one of the things that you have brought to our attention is that you would have preferred to know the source of why the survey was generated. And I guess I'll make a comment and follow it up with a question. When we look at these types of documents, they are there to capture job duties, responsibilities, and all those tasks that you perform in your day-to-day operations under your classification. So I guess my question is, wouldn't those criteria remain the same regardless of who generated the request for the survey? Because it feels like you're saying if you had known that it was the CFO doing it, that maybe you would have approached it differently. And I may be reading that wrong, but that's the impression I'm getting.
I would have been more thorough in reviewing my answers. Because it does put a different perspective on it just being kind of part of the process, which I was not familiar with. And I would have made sure my answers were complete. I thought this was just a review of what I was doing and who was part of that process. I did not understand at that time the ramifications of a demotion to this extent. So I would have been very clear and concise with what my answers were. So it would have changed. It could have. I don't know.
I just want to understand that answer. You're saying that you understood the survey to have been asked for by the commission, and it later on was asked for by Mr. Boston, your CFO, and that you would have changed your answers depending on which of those two entities requested the survey?
No, I'm stating that there would have been I would have thoroughly reviewed and thoroughly reviewed my answers. I was in a rush to get it done, and I don't know, I didn't give a lot of thought to it.
So because the commission asked for you to do it, you didn't give it a lot of thought. If Mr. Boston had asked you, you would have given it more thought.
I don't know.
And
but
isn't the issue, though, that you're actually, that your duties were beyond the scope of your classification at the end of the day anyway? Basically, you were doing more than, which seems like a weird way to put it, but you were doing more than you were supposed to be doing. Isn't that the ultimate determination?
Once again, that was an interpretation of my job duties. And I believe that at the end of the day, had conversation been back and forth on clarification of those, I wasn't doing some of those duties. There was an interpretation that I was.
Based on your answers in the survey? So
When I
you put
was
more, so you're saying you exaggerated your duties in the survey?
No.
Okay.
I have a medical condition and I have aphasia. At times when I am nervous, my words do not come out correctly. I stated that to Ms. Olson, and she said if she had any questions on my duties, that she would reach out to Mr. Teal. And I indicated that that would be great.
So if through your medical condition you stated, perhaps exaggerated, maybe not the right word, but conflated some of the duties you were doing, or left the impression you were doing more advanced duties than you really were doing, wouldn't that then have been up to Mr. Teal to correct and when he reviewed the survey?
Yes.
Okay.
And it would have been an opportunity had Ms. Olson spoke with him directly about what my job duties, there could have been clarification at that time.
And your belief is that there was no clarification?
Ms. Olson never spoke with Mr. Teal.
Well, we're going to talk to Mr. Teal. Thank you.
Just one more clarifying question, please. You mentioned earlier that you testified that I believe you called them routine financial decisions. So I guess I just want to make sure that we're clear on what we all interpret that to mean. So would committing the city to a 3-year contract with a vendor, would that be a routine financial decision?
No. That
Okay.
would go through a totally different process. However, the monthly payment of whatever, $3,000 or $2,000 for, say, cleaning services at a certain building would be according to contract, and that would be a routine decision.
Okay. No, I appreciate that because that was the same view that I had, that, an ongoing expense where you have, like you said, you have an existing contract where the monthly bill comes in and you're merely authorizing the payment of that. That would be a routine financial decision, correct?
Correct.
Because you don't really have, you're not choosing to pay that. Basically, what you're doing is you're being authorized to say, well, yeah, we have to pay this anyway.
Yeah.
So just process that for us. It's not really so much a decision as a process. Would that be fair?
Yes, yes. And in the timeline that Ms. Pearson had provided in the packet, there was a in the internal review findings, based on the responses from me in my PDQ and interview, Ms. Olson determined Ms. Long was working at a higher level classification. Only 10% of her work was under the executive assistant classification. It said I was making independent decisions with no oversight. I don't believe that, I don't know why that was interpreted or how that was interpreted, because I was still relatively new to the city process and the facilities, so I always would request guidance from Mr. Teal. I wasn't making independent decisions, so.
Just one more point of clarification before I ask if anybody else has any questions. In part of your testimony earlier, you were talking about the way that you tailored your answers for the survey, where had you known that a demotion might be in the works or a potential outcome of this, you might have changed it differently. But I guess what I want to clarify for the sake of making sure we're all on the same sheet of music is that after the initial survey was completed, it wasn't Civil Services' immediate recommendation that demotion take place. Isn't the opposite true?
the indication was that I was working at a higher level. And some of those duties were, there was conversation, and I wasn't doing those duties, and they were to remain with Mr. Teal, and they have remained with Mr. Teal. They were his to start with. So yes, there was a recommendation at a higher level.
And you also acknowledge that management has the exclusive right to determine job responsibilities and to determine who does those.
I do.
Okay, that was my last question. Anyone else?
We'd like to talk to Mr. Teal now, but don't go anywhere. We might want to call you back.
Good morning, Mr. Teal.
Good morning.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give in the matter now being heard will be the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
I'll let you start.
Oh, okay. Good morning, Mr. Teal.
Good morning.
Can you just give us your current job description?
I'm the Director of Facilities for the City of Spokane.
How long have you done that?
4 years here, 29 years in the state.
4 years here in Spokane
Correct.
with the merit system.
Correct.
When did you hire Ms. Kelly?
Maybe, about 3 years ago.
Did there come a time when you were aware that a survey was being requested?
Yes. And to clarify, part of it's on me. I'll take ownership on that, is not knowing what I don't know. Being in the state, desk audits were different than a survey. So when a survey came out, I figured they were doing an overview of that job description to update the job description, update the testing, et cetera. So I didn't have the terminology correct on what a desk audit is versus what a survey is. But I was made aware.
Say that last sentence again. You thought the survey was for what purposes?
An overview of that job description for any updates for that job description, and to update the testing that kind of connects to that job description.
Were you aware when the survey was going to take place?
Yes, yes,
And then the survey actually occurred?
correct.
You then had the opportunity to review the actual survey responses yourself?
Correct.
And when I say the actual responses, I mean the actual responses, not somebody else's conclusions, but actual words
Yes,
from Ms. Long, and I apologize because you Ms. Kelly, I meant Ms. Long.
yes.
And when you reviewed those responses, did you have an opportunity to challenge their correctness?
I did.
And did you?
I did not.
So you signed off on the survey then?
Correct.
As was part of the process?
Correct.
And in so doing, as the Director of Facilities for 4 years, you said, yes, that's what this person's doing in this job.
Correct.
Are you changing your opinion on that as you stand here today?
No.
So that was what this person was doing in this job?
Yes.
So if we had come to you for clarification, you still would have said, no, that's what this person's doing?
I would.
Were you aware who called for the survey?
I wasn't at the time until the end.
What do you mean the end?
There was an email that came from Kelsey to Matt Boston with some questions of coming from that survey, that how Kelly wrote in that survey could have been perceived that she was doing some of the work that I was supposed to be doing. She sent that to Mr. Boston. we set up then I responded to that email and said, no, I understand what Kelly was trying to get at, that she wasn't actually approving payments. She was getting everything together for me to approve the payments. So I wrote kind of a answer to all those concerns that Kelsey had, sent it back to my Boston, and then we had a meeting to set up. And that's when I learned that it came from Matt Boston. I didn't know before then.
Would that have changed your actions at all?
Not really. I think I would have just, my personal role with my staff is being transparent with them on that. Now, not saying that it would have changed anything. I just would have felt comfortable being transparent with that.
Thank you. Anybody have anything else?
I do have a couple of quick follow-up questions. So, listening to your testimony right now, it sounds like there, again, as Ms. Long stated, there might be some perceptual differences in the information that was provided. However, you stand by what was there. You approved that. You said, yes, this is what this person does. And so if we follow that line of logic, then the evaluation that was done by the analyst would be correct in that this position should have been upgraded unless some of those duties were taken over by a managerial person. And so I guess my question for you is, we've been advised that management made the decision to remove those duties, which would then put it in a different classification, which would be lower than where Ms. Long currently is. And my question for you is, did you support that decision from the management side as was presented to us?
I supported the decision that she was not an executive assistant. She was not working at that level.
Thank you.
Yes.
Commissioner Holt? Commissioner Lindsay?
Just to touch back on the independent decisions with no oversight, I think, do you agree with that or disagree with that part?
I would agree that she doesn't, well, she does make independent decisions, as we all do in one role of a capacity. For examples, I guess she could see that we didn't get the proper insurance from somebody and reach out to the contractor to make sure we get the proper insurance. As it comes for decision-making when it comes to budgetary or coming towards vendors, who to use or anything like that, she doesn't make those independent decisions. She will get a list like off the MRSC for us for our projects, but she doesn't make that final decision.
Would you agree that she was processing contracts and amendments, validating the necessary required language is in the documents, reviewed documents for accuracy, ensured payments were processed? Would you say those were things she was doing?
Yes.
And is that something you're also supposed to do?
So ask me the question again, because she's the one that makes sure we have the insurance, she makes sure we have all the packet together for the contractor. When the statements come in, I approve it, then she follows up to make sure it goes to our accountant to pay it. We have a process that's in there, so she makes sure all the supporting documents are there before I will approve the payment. She sends it to me, I have it all together, look it over, yes, okay to pay, goes back, and then it goes to our accountant.
And were those things in the survey? Were those things discussed?
No.
Okay. I don't have anything else.
How much independent investigation do you do of Ms. Longworth?
Every day. I mean, how much, Oversight? Is that what you're asking?
Not of what she's done, but the results of what she has produced. The results of her work, you're the one who has to decide that you're going to sign the city up with the contract. How much independent investigation do you do of her work to confirm, in other words, a peer review of her work to confirm that this is exactly what she says it is?
Everything gets sent to me. Yes.
Not really answering the question, how much do you independently investigate what she has sent you? You're the manager.
Right. I look at everything that she sends me. I'm not quite following your question. I'm sorry.
May I?
Sure.
I believe what he's asking is, if we understand what you're saying, is Ms. Long basically collects all the information you need, and then you will provide the authorization for action to take place. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So I believe what Commissioner Lindsay is asking is, do you independently confirm that the information that is provided to you is accurate, or do you take it on face value?
Oh, no, I look at it all. No, I make sure it's all accurate before I do an approval.
Do you independently go ahead and then confirm with contractors or whomever that the information they gave Ms. Long is correct and accurate?
That always goes through my desk first, through me first before it gets to Ms. Long on making sure we have everything to make the payment. Yes.
Thank you.
Any other follow-up? I would like to move to executive session so that we may discuss this. It is currently, looks like it's about 12 after 10. I believe we'll be in executive session probably no later and should reconvene by 10:30.
The commission is still in executive session and will be about another 15 minutes.
Thank you. At this time, we are now out of executive session, and I will be reading into the record the determination of the Civil Service Commission. So the Civil Service, we've determined after the survey that Ms. Long's classification should be, Civil Service, when they completed the survey, determined that Ms. Long's classification should be upgraded to administrative manager. The burden was on Ms. Long to show that this determination was incorrect as per Rule 3, Section 4B of the Civil Service Rules. Ms. Long did not meet her burden in this instance. Therefore, the Commission classification determined is upheld and will stand. And now that I've read that into the record, I would ask for a motion.
So moved.
A second.
Vote, please. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it.
The ayes have it. Thank you. Is there any other business that we need to do today?
That would be new business, right? Or no?
All right. Hearing nothing, I would ask for a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
I second.
All approved.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. We stand adjourned.
All right. Thank you, everybody.